Hi Gemini, welcome to a tarot reading for 2020. It's Rena here. This is from tarot.com. It's called the Year Ahead Tarot Spread. And so thanks to them for the idea. I consider myself a creative person, but sometimes I get a little bit stumped when I'm trying to create my own tarot spread. So I like to search out Pinterest. Okay, I'm going to lay out the cards and then I'll tell you what each position means. Funny, I got that exact same card for Sagittarius in the same exact position. Okay. So the first card is Sunset Lessons from Your Previous Year. So we have here Five of Cups. The card of mourning the loss of something. Maybe even mourning the loss of someone. Two cups behind the person. There's a, a silver lining. Maybe the person can only see what they've lost, not what is still there. So grieving the loss of something, and of course, during the course of any year, that usually comes up at some point, doesn't it? I would assume. So this might be something especially grievous, or something that really does strike a lot of sadness. And I would say, like, if it's a person, sometimes it can be even someone who you didn't get along with. The grief can be what could have been. We could have been friends. We could have been kind to one another. What happened? Why couldn't you allow me to give you that affection? How come you always push me away? Or some kind of situation that you really thought that you wanted and it seems like it's not going to materialize. Being able to surrender to the will of the universe is it's a tricky thing, because you don't want to give up, but you just want to surrender. And sometimes it's hard to know the difference. I think that the difference can be not having expectations anymore, but still perhaps doing things that promote whatever it is that you want. So let's say you're pining over a certain person who you were hoping would leave their spouse. Maybe you had an affair with them, or maybe you simply had an emotional affair, maybe not a physical one. And they said, I can't do this because I'm still married, I'm in the process of separating, and they never have. Well, you can still hold out hope and keep an open line of communication, but still, grieve the loss of it happening on your timeline, on your timetable. The second card is Horizon, what you can expect in the future. Whoa, I like this card. Ace of Wands. Fresh start, new beginnings, excitement. Maybe feeling like your life is going to just take off like a rocket. Actually, in 2020, we're going to start having eclipses in Gemini and Sagittarius. And for the first one will actually be in Sag, and the end of next year will be, like in November, will be Gemini, the first one. It'll be a lunar eclipse, the first one. But still, you know, these, even with the Sagittarius situation, because it's your opposing sign, it can still impact you because it's forming an opposition. So understand that your life is about to change in one way or the other. Oh, and also, of course, and this is tied to this, but the North Node is entering your sign in May. So that's very exciting. So being able to see life as a cycle is important. If you felt like you've been kind of like in, you know, down in the dumps and something has made you disappointed, Gemini, you have something to look forward to. And that's a very positive card. Let's put it that way. The third one is obstacle, a challenge you'll face this year. And it's funny because I really love this card, the Magician card. It's actually, I've heard it attributed to, I thought your sign, but then I heard Aries. So the Magician card is about manifestation, but but your own personal manifestation. So with the Ace of Wands, you may be really longing to start your own business, and maybe you'll even do that. Supposedly after the first couple of months of 2020, there are a lot of retrogrades throughout the year. Venus and Mars are both retrograding, and they're personal planets. But regardless of that, some of you may still, feel like the 2020 is the time when you're going to launch a new business. The Ace of Wands is a very independent energy, and therefore, you may be feeling this surge of wanting to kind of call your own shots. And as a result, there may be opportunities for you to do this, but with the Magician card, you may, if you have a day job, you may have to continue that perhaps for all of 2020, but it doesn't matter because the whole idea isn't to just kind of drop one thing and start another without having any kind of idea of how it's all going to come together. The Magician is about self-empowerment and resourcefulness. And even if you feel like you can't be that way 100%, you can still push through to make it happen. You may find that this upcoming year, it starts to feel more like that in May when the North Node goes into your sign. You may feel like destiny is on your side. But if you don't immediately, let's say you start a business and it doesn't immediately turn a profit, don't give up. Let's put it that way. And if you have a source of income with your current job, that just helps the chances of your business because you're not putting all your eggs into one basket and you're not trying to rely on something right away, because that could put a lot of pressure on you to make it, instantly, when that might be quite unrealistic. So that's the third position. The fourth position is strength, how to harness your inner power. And we have a card, and this is associated with Sagittarius. The Temperance card. As above, so below, water and land, material and spiritual. The Temperance card is a card about keeping an even keel, keeping a balance between the perspective of the spiritual and the material. And in terms of practices, a perfect example, I think, would be Hatha Yoga, because You're doing something physical, so you're moving the physical body, but you're also balancing the energy centers, the chakras. And that can help you to maintain an even keel. You know, Gemini is a double sign. It's a mutable sign. And so the sign of Gemini is the twins. You know, all of the mutable signs have something in double. I'm a Sagittarius. It's the half man, half horse kind of a thing. I see, you know, so I didn't say centaur. Because I can't, I don't know, is it centaur? Centaur. So there's like that, I don't think I'd call it duality, but it's definitely a double situation. Pisces, the two fish, and Virgo, the two virgins or maidens. So with Gemini, you may veer between one way and another, being in your mind, which we could even call the spiritual, where it's not the physical. And that can be quite abstract, but very ungrounded. And this is, whatever it is that you're doing, you need to have a balance so that you, like, let's say you are starting a business. You can't just all be in your head. You have to be like practical so that you can take care of business as well. The fifth position, advice based on what you have learned in the past year. Page of Swords. The first thing that I thought of when I saw this was do your homework. So in other words, not to go off half-cocked. For instance, let's say that, let's take this reading thus far and apply it to a love relationship. Let's say that you were mourning the loss of a relationship that didn't go the way that you wanted it to. Well, it says that you may have a new relationship. Maybe it is with a Sagittarian, because it is Ace of Wands, that's fire energy. And the obstacle with that, with the Magician card, is maybe you're the type of person, especially if you have inner planets in Cancer, or you have the moon in Libra, Cancer, or Pisces, where you have a tendency to, when you get into relationships, kind of lose yourself in them. That might be an obstacle, that you fall in love very quickly and then you just want to just spend all the time with that person instead of taking it more slowly and, you know, being very aware of the need for your own autonomy. And this, the lesson that you would have learned, or the advice, the Page of Swords, would be not to be oblivious to your relationship. Because with the Five of Cups, maybe you mourned the loss of something that you should have known was in trouble long ago, but you were kind of in your own, doing your own thing. And so this is about being more vigilant, being more aware of what's going on. The sixth card, navigation, guidance for the year ahead. Interesting that they use the word navigation, because this card is the Four of Cups. And what I would say is, you see that somebody is offering this person a cup, which is love, and the person is stone-faced. What this can mean is, in terms of navigation in the coming year, is learn to be navigated by your emotions, okay? A lot of Gemini people may be quite divorced from their emotional guidance system. And I don't know if I wonder if Abraham Hicks created that term, because I've heard it from them. And your emotional guidance system is what tells you what is the right thing to do. We could call it your intuition, I guess, your gut. What you should do. Should you be with a certain person or not, you know? But if you're an air sign, you may kind of disregard that and just start going off on a tangent of, you know, kind of like looking at it from a different perspective rather than just the gut. The gut instinct is kind of very immediate a lot of times. It's not something that you need to analyze. And just in general in your life, whether you're talking about starting a business, changing jobs, how does where you work, what kind of emotions are brought up by that workplace, or the type of work that you're doing, or the person that you're with? If you're dating, you know, what kind of feelings do you feel when you're talking to a potential partner? If you don't feel good emotions, if you feel kind of indifferent, which is what the Four of Cups can represent, that should tell you something, you know. That is not a sign that you are with the right person. Ace of Wands is about feeling that sense of coming alive, especially if, you know, you've been kind of in the doldrums over something. And the 7th card is clarity, your personal theme for the year. So let's take these apart and let's get this. And the Justice card. Balance. So just like the Temperance, we're talking about balance. Now this card connects to the sign of Libra. The theme for you in the coming year is balance. I would say especially with the spiritual and the material. And when I say spiritual, also we could say the higher emotions. So love might figure into that, of course. Love is definitely spiritual. And anything that you feel compelled to do that is of a healing variety. And not just look at your life from the mundane perspective. Also with justice, it's to me about fairness. And I don't know if I have to say this. I don't know if this is really as important for Geminis to hear this, but when I do readings for Pisces, I often say, you know, you're the kind of sign that is very sacrificial for somebody that you love. But you know, what about yourself? Do you love yourself? Because you should treat yourself the way that you know, have such high regard for others, and love yourself in order to protect from anyone that would not appreciate how much you give, you know, your giving nature. Some people take advantage of that. So I would say something similar to you, you know. I don't want to say demand justice because that sounds too overbearing, but just seek it. Seek fairness in relationships. If this is, I mean, this could literally be about having some kind of a legal matter that really dominates your life in 2020. And if that is true, there may be reasons why this has to happen, where, you know, you have, you know, to have your day in court is healing for you. Yeah, you know, even with the 5 of Cups, this could be, you know, you grieve the loss of somebody close to you, and there is some kind of a inheritance issue, for instance. And I don't think in every single case that fighting for that is necessarily indicated, But perhaps for you, it's exactly what you need to do, because it's not just justice for you. Maybe there's justice for the person who has passed, who was taken advantage of, who was fooled by somebody. So every situation is going to be different. But anyway, I hope that you got some kind of something from this, positive. Gemini, if you would like a look at your 2020 situation from an astrological point of view using your natal chart, I would love to read for you. I have the link to that particular reading below this video, and you can find out more information about it. But I hope that your new year is your best one yet. And take care. Bye.